And he's joining me right now. We're so excited to talk to him. He's the author of the brand new book, Just Because. The New York Times best-selling author and fellow Texan joins us right now on the show, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew, how you doing, man?
We're doing good, Brad. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there.
Well, hey, you know what? We're so excited to talk to you. And first off, congratulations on the book. Another one that's coming out that people are so receptive to. And I'll tell you what, man, I've read this 3 or 4 times already. It's really meant for me in my reading level. But I think it's such a special book. And just, I think having this message out there for young people and people of all ages is very important. So I really want to ask you, what was the genesis of this Just Because?
Yeah, so I got 3 kids. Any parents out there know that when you got children, you start looking at life through the lens and making choices with consideration to them. So I had a dream one night, and it was a ditty. And sometimes when I'm lucky, I'll dream in rhythm. And I had this little tune in my head, like, just because they threw the dart don't mean that it's stuck. Just because you got skills don't mean there is no luck. And so I woke up, and as you do when you wake up to a good dream, right? You want to keep that rhythm in your head so you can keep the flow. And I started writing things down, and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? This is fun. This is useful. This is good for my kids. I think it'd be good for a lot of kids. And I was like, it's actually making me think too, as an adult. Put it down on pages. There it is in front of you, just because.
There it is right there in front of me. And it definitely has that rhythm to it when you read through it. It's an easy read, obviously, and it has such an important message. Now, let me ask you though this. So when you have the idea and the ditty's coming to you and you got the rhythm going, you start making the jots down, the music's happening, it's flowing out of the pen. When do you say, you know what would be really great for this? Let's add some imagery. Let's have some pictures. Let's make this a story.
That only came later on after I'd had it on paper and I thought it was a cool song. And then I was like, you know what? This could be good for as a kid's book. I sent it to my agent. He goes, this would be great for a kid's book. That's when we said, illustrations. So I didn't think of any illustrations. Now, the next one I'm working on now, just because when I write the couplet, I'm already writing down what I think the illustration is. But for this one, I worked it out with Renee Correa who's the illustrator. And we looked, at 10 different illustrators, what I thought would be right for this book. Found her. Then her and I got on a lot of Zoom calls about, hey, what's the scenario? What will kids understand a scenario in their own life that gets across the meaning of the couplet? Put pictures to it. There it is.
And there you have it. Now, I guess because you are an author, you wrote a book before, you're an artist yourself, every time that I've ever written something that really strikes me, even coming out of my pen, go, ooh, that was pretty good. How did I come up with that? The divinity came through the pen and onto the page.
Right.
I always kind of step out and say, wow, that was pretty impressive. I can't believe that came out of my mind. Which one, is there a line in particular that stands out for you in the book where you go, wow, you know what? That was pretty deep.
Look, they're all kind of adult themes packaged
right
with a rhythmic rhyme and pictures so children can digest them. I mean, I kind of did that on purpose. There's some pretty mature themes about life and the poetry of living in there. I just want to make them digestible for youngsters, and the youngster in all of us. Look, to deal with like sports, there's that one that just because I keep winning doesn't mean that I'm a cheater. That's so we use this term in life, when someone does something incredible, we go unbelievable. And I think unbelievable is the dumbest word in the vocabulary. It's like, what do you mean unbelievable? It just happened. Witness greatness. And when we witness greatness or witness great success, we should applaud it. Our default emotion is we think, well, if I see you do something better than me, if I'm appreciative of that, then I'm going to be worse at doing it myself. Well, no, I'm not. To appreciate success, to appreciate someone being awesome at what they do, and doesn't mean that they're cheating because they did what they did well. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it's just human greatness and we should applaud it.
Well, you know what? I love that one. Can I tell you which one is my favorite from the book? Do you mind if I read it to you?
Yeah,
this is the one that really just stuck with me. Just because a hand is clenched doesn't mean that it's a fist. Just because I'd rather not doesn't mean I don't take risks. Can you expound upon that for me?
Yeah, well, there again, where you got this, I think that the picture with just because a hand is clenched, that means a fist, and the girl opens up and it's a surprise. It's a gift. That's sometimes true in life. We think we're running into animosity. We think someone's coming to oppose us or try to take us down. When a lot of times they're just coming like going, "Hey, no, don't faint at the look. Look what's in my hand first. What I got for you." You know what I mean? It's actually a gift sometimes. Now the other one, what's the second one?
Is just because I'd rather not doesn't mean I won't take risks.
Yeah, this is that deal. So like, look, man, we especially when we're young, we're like, oh, I'm really nervous, but I'm really excited. Oh my gosh, I need to feel one or the other. No, it's good that you feel two. Feel both. I mean, I don't want to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. I'm scared to go on that stage and get on that mic, or I have butterflies every single time I go to work and I'm in the scene. I got butterflies. That doesn't mean I don't go. That doesn't mean I don't go do it. So those nerves, those butterflies, to remind ourselves today, it's good to have those and be excited about it. Those go together. It's not like you can only have one or the other. It's not like you can be nervous and not excited, or you can be excited and not be nervous. No, those happen. And that's part of where courage is too. That's how you overcome something. That old line, we used to have that term in sports about a decade ago, no fear. I never liked that line because I'm like, what do you mean no fear? There's a whole lot to fear out there. It's the overcoming of that fear that's cool.
It's what drives you, right? I mean, I don't mind having butterflies in my stomach just so long as they all line up and fly straight when I need them to, right? And we get them in order, and we go ahead and we face those challenges.
They give you an edge too. They give you a little edge that's very good, so they keep you from complacency. And I know when I'm going to work, and I've been doing this for 40 years, if I don't have butterflies when I'm starting a scene, I got to go check myself and go, maybe I'm not prepared enough. Maybe I don't understand how awesome this moment or this scene could be. Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. And so I usually get complacent when I don't have butterflies. So I try to push myself to where I like having a little bit of butterflies before I take any stage, whether that's on a set or wherever.
When you put out your last book, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was in the book or you said it in an interview, but it was something that stuck with me that I actually put into practice in my everyday life. You're big on to-do lists. You're big on making the list and crossing it off just to have that sense of accomplishment. Is that something that you still practice to this day? Even if it's, I'm going to wake up and go get a drink of water, I'm putting that on the list?
Dude, I because I like marking off a lot, I will put the most mundane stuff on there. Kiss my wife in the morning, make kids breakfast, take the dogs out, make myself, give myself an extra spoonful of that local honey for my tea, whatever that. I'll put little silly stuff that I want to do anyway, right? Just so I got more to cross off. Mainly, it's and most importantly for me is having that the night before, and just having a little glance at it for what my next day holds, what I know I kind of want to get accomplished for the next day. It helps me sleep better. Because I feel like if I forget it, guess what? You wrote it down. Mm-hmm. So you can forget it. And just check on that list, mark them off the next day. And it takes a lot of stress out of my life, because if I don't write them down or I don't check out my next day, I do kind of think, is there something I'm going to miss? Is there something I'll forget? Is there something that's going to surprise me? And if you write it down, you have less surprises because you see what the day holds. You see the things that you want to accomplish. And when they add up and you mark them all off and you look at that buck slip and you go, look at that. And sometimes you got a couple, you got to roll over to the next day, into the next day. And that's fine to roll them over. But if you got them there, it's like to look at that buck slip that you that I doodle on and I mark out and add some more things and mark those out. It's like, there we go. There's a day spent, handled.
We did something. We made something happen. That's partially the Texas spirit. You brought up Texas here a couple times. We talked about it. We chatted about it before we started rolling the cameras on this thing and the audio. You're a big sports fan. Everybody knows that. We've seen you at the UT games. We've seen you at tennis tournaments. We've seen you all around. Now, being from where you are in Texas, now I know you're an Austinite, so you've got your go-tos there. But when it comes to something like baseball, I just kind of want to know, what kind of man are you? Are you a Rangers guy or are you an Astros guy? Are you Houston or are you
good
Dallas?
Question. Right. Well, I grew up Astros. And then I work with the Rangers. The Rangers, I'm definitely a fan of because they have a foundation where they oversee 3 of our after school curriculums, Just Keep Living Foundation. They're in the Dallas area, and they've been so good to us for over a decade. So I always drop by Ranger time. And I can't help but though, in here we're about to get real tasty coming playoff times. Wherever Texas, I've got, and any Texan knows that. If it's even from the state, you root against anybody out there in the world. You are a root against anybody out there in the world versus your state team. So I'm a fan of both. I'm probably more integrated with the Rangers now because of the work we do with them and the work they do with us.
I understand. I'm not mad at that. I'm an Astros fan, die hard, but I'm like you. Anything Texas, I'm going to represent to the fullest. How are we going to get more of the arts here in Texas? There's been this great renaissance, especially in the city of Austin, where they call it the Great Texodus, where a lot of arts and people from the coast came down and now they set up roots in Texas. How are we going to get more films, more television shows done here in the state?
Well, it's going to have to be a measurable tax break to do so. Now, Houston can advertise why we could shoot films, or Austin can, Dallas can. A lot more of the rural counties would say, "Hey, but you're not shooting anything in my backyard." Now, if we can show that, yes, we would, and yes, we can, and tell more stories in Texas, especially the Texas stories. Richard Linklater and I talk about this all the time. Damn, man, we tell a Texas story. Don't make me go to New Mexico. Don't make me go to Arkansas. Come on, man. Don't make me go over there. Come on, let's just shoot it right here. We got great crews in Texas. We got really great creative department. It's about the tax incentive from the government that does allow that bottom line for studios to go, you know what? I get that break. I want to shoot in Texas, because you got a bunch of Texas creatives that really want to shoot.
Yeah.
Here. You saw that PSA that Quaid put out. I've been up there and talked about it quite a few times. There's a lot of people that want to shoot that can bring the work. And we have to prove more clearly of how it really feeds the Texas economy. We really have to make those numbers very clear, which I see numbers that are clear, but there's an argument against it. We got to make those numbers clear about how it fuels the local economy when you shoot in Texas, especially the stuff that is Texas made and Texas stories.
Well, the author is Matthew McConaughey. The book is Just Because. I just got a couple last things with you. I know we're running short on time, but let me ask you this. Let me tell you this first. Before I did this whole thing, I was a public educator in the school system, and I taught a speech class. And every semester, I would show them the same speech, and that was Matthew McConaughey's Oscar speech when you accepted the award. I thought it was so poignant. It told a story. It made people feel something. How much thought went into that speech?
Well, one, I didn't want to. I did sure as hell wasn't going to write the whole damn thing out, because I thought that'd be a coup de grace to win it. You know what I mean? You don't want to write out your victory speech when you ain't won yet. But I did think, hey, if they call my name, what are the just bullet point of things that have inspired me that I think have helped me get here and helped me succeed in the way that I ended up succeeding that night. And so I think it was who do I look up to? Who do I chase? And I just had a one word. I had 4 words, and go like, if they call your name, talk about those. And then everything else I said, I just got up there and just spoke from my heart.
It's beautiful. Now, last thing for you. Again, the book is called Just Because. It's an incredible book. Buy it right now from the New York Times bestselling author, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew, I got married a little over a year ago to the love of my life, Farrah. I'm a new husband. We're talking about kids. What is the best advice you can give me as a husband and perhaps a future father?
Dude, you become a father, you become immortal. It's awesome, man. It's the best export we can put into the world. And we got 18. If they're in the house for 18 years, sometimes I understand it could be longer. Let's call it 18 for now. I mean, what other investment can you have more of a chance to change the world than in doing your best to rear and raise and shepherd and guide your child? You'll see there's no greater privilege in the world than to be a father. I do say this: if you do have your firstborn, when you do for the first 6 months after he or she is born, don't double down, triple down on anything in your life that you want to invest in. I'm talking about stocks. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about career choices. Man is never more clear, never more masculine, never more is his heart and his head in sync than 6 months after they have the firstborn.
I love it.
Triple.
I'm going to take that to heart. Matthew McConaughey, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on a great book that's telling a very important message to a lot of young people in the world. We really appreciate you taking the time for us.
All right, Brad. Have a good one, bro.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yeah.